What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Callie, first witness. Um, just gonna try to get through this as quick as possible. It's not something I wanted to do. Homie says roll up, I'll roll up easy. So Spirit said roll up. I gotta just share some facts in a row that make a story. Tell you a little bit about who I am and what I've been going through the past year. And I guess it's important that I share this right now. I wasn't going to. It's just embarrassing to me. I mean, it's just bullshit embarrassment to me. You'll see what I mean. Oh, it's not the smells good. Just cleansing it out a little bit. I don't burn that every day. It's a little bit of a special occasion right now, right here. So, the people that this is supposed to reach, I'm sure it will. You know, my Moon 13s, my Intuitive Kevs, my Trevions, uh, you know, my chosen, uh, you know, all y'all. Y'all my family, my gang, my real brothers and sisters. We probably all in isolation. The collective is just kind of, getting trained right now. I'm a healer, divine, acute intuitive, born reader, naturally, um, soothsayer, truthsayer, doomsayer. um, at times used as a, divine judgment incarnate. Right now, I'm facing one of those times. In fact, I didn't ask to be any of those things. I was chosen, and it's not. I'm not here saying I'm special. I'm here saying why am I special? You know what I mean? It's the Jay and Silent Bob effect. It's like Dogma. I'm that dude. Um, because they were prophets in Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob. Anyway, it's funny how life is a little bit more like that, and God valued, I guess, my authenticity. God values because the chosen ones that I see, we authentic. I mean, that's the one thing that you can say about us is we don't come with no bullshit. You know what I mean? We come at you straight how we are. We ain't here to twist the truth. We ain't here to manipulate you in any way. We have no hidden agenda. And to others, that looks like we have the biggest hidden agenda. We're trying to manipulate you, and we trying to. It's like fools. Our light irritates their demons real bad. They be making up excuses in their head to hate us off the bat right when we walk in the room. Y'all who are just resonating with this for the first time, y'all might be chosen. Y'all might want to just seek some insight into that a little bit. The same way you've been seeking insight just now. It ain't that difficult. There's people that want to tell you about it. I'm one of them. But right now, I'm here to tell you about what's been happening in my life the past year. It's crazy, and most of it's unbelievable, even to me, except for the fact that I lived through it, and I'm currently still living through it. And so, here we go. All right, look. I live in a 1,000-person town in Alabama. It's called Parish. I'm not afraid to name names. I have a wife named Christina, or an ex. I have 3 children, 3 beautiful, awesome children. I have a son who's 20. His name's Noah. A daughter who's 14 named Trinity. Another one who's 13 named Sky. And they're my whole life. I love them so much. I love you guys if you're watching this. So people around town, they, after not seeing you with your wife for a while, they want to know. They start asking, not just how's your mom and them, but they say, hey, where's your wife at? And they gonna believe what she said. If you don't start answering, giving them a different answer, then she or something, because they heard something else. You know what I mean? And I'm not here to take whatever people want to believe, whatever they want. They can have it. She can head to church. Ain't none of them come to my aid. Ain't none of them have any real love. Ain't none of them believers, in my opinion. No church I went to, ain't none of them come to help me. And every single one of them in every church that I've been to knows exactly what I'm going through. And nobody even called. Ain't no family even called. Ain't no sibling called. Ain't no I have one homie. I got one homie right now who's willing to suffer with me, hear me, suffer through me, and be in my company during the worst of times and the best sometimes, But that's it. I've been sent one angel. His name's Teasy, by the way. What up, dog? He's not really an angel, but he's an earth angel to me. He's definitely God had a plan for him in my life, and I'm really appreciative of Teasy. Anyway, What happened to my wife? Well, I don't know. I don't know how she is. I ain't seen her in nearly a year. I haven't seen any of my kids in nearly a year. I'm 301 feet away from them right now. I have been the whole time. I can't get any closer. Why? Let's try to get through this quick. It's a long story. Oh, man. My wife was incentivized and bribed by my parents, Richard and Sharon. My wife Christina was incentivized by them to leave me out in the cold, to abandon me, to leave me impoverished and destitute. And they did a good job of trying. You know, I'm the most resilient cockroach bastard that they have ever laid eyes on. Which, if they didn't realize by now, they should have. I mean, I'll ball selling newspapers over the phone. You know what I mean? I'll ball no matter what I'm given. You know. Bottom line. So they bribed her, and after 16 years of happy marriage and 3 kids, and me making her a woman, you know, a wife, a mother, giving her a life, I was discarded, like narcissistically discarded. Now, I didn't know what a narcissist was until this happened, and it was pointed out to me that that's exactly what was going on. I mean, it's obvious to me now, after the amount of studying I've done, that I'm in a narcissistically abused situation, or I was. I'm currently suffering from CBTSD, and it's something that I'm gonna have to deal with. Because I didn't realize, like I said, I didn't realize I was getting sick. I didn't realize this was something that was happening to me. But anyway, I'm good for the most part. I'm abundantly blessed in every way. So other than that, the bribe that my wife was given by my parents, Sharon and Richard, she it culminated, the help they were going to give her if she divorced me or something like that. However, their conversation was phrased or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's incentivizing her to leave. You know what I mean? To break up the family. They have reason, I believe, to do this. A few reasons why other people have pointed out that this may be the case, and some of them are quite alarming. In fact, one of them rings a bell very thoroughly in my head, and it has to do with the fact that they're stealing an inheritance, or they have a payout from a trust that is dissolving, that they want to keep because of bad investments they made, or they don't want to get in trouble. They've already spent it or something. I don't know, but they won't talk to me about it. Haven't. And it's gotten to the point where whatever consequences come from me, they're going to have to suffer, because I'm going to find out, and I'm going to hold them to the full extent of whatever it is at this point, because we've had no resolution and it's been so long. So I need resolution, you know. So anyway, it culminated in a staged domestic violence incident where my son was told by my wife to attack me with a metal baseball bat that she keeps by the side of her bed. Never used for baseball, but he shows up with it one morning when I am 150 feet away from my house in my man cave cabin. Attacks me. I stop him from killing himself, basically. Get the bat away from him. He was going to hit the power box with the bat, with the metal aluminum bat. So, I had to get it away from him. Couldn't get it away from me. He's twice my size. And him swinging a bat around and having hit me, he hit me a few times with the bat until I was hurt while I was struggling with him. There was no fight or anything like that. Nobody was punching and kicking or anything. It was just simply me trying to get the bat away from my challenged son. And so anyway, my wife called the police. Neither one of us did, thought it was necessary, but she called the police, filed charges, said that I was the aggressor. I was confused by the entire thing. They said someone's got to go to jail, and I said I would go to jail for my son because I didn't want my challenged son to wind up. It's not where he needs to be. Okay. However, this caused major problems. I am being charged with DD3, domestic violence. This is a completely false claim by my wife. Anybody who actually knows me, which there's nobody who does because I'm in total isolation except my homie TZ, could tell you that I don't have a violent bone in my body. I'm not a violent person. I've never touched I don't even spank my kids. I don't do nothing. You know what I mean? So it's a ludicrous thing to say that this happened. And there's 100 ways that I could prove my innocence. The 911 call, which was strange, and there's a couple things in it that prove my innocence. It's like me saying, "What are you doing?" on the phone and stuff like that with my wife. Me yelling for help in the background. because I was getting beat. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Um, there's the body cam footage. The body cam footage that says, hey, at the end. In the end, it's like the cop didn't know what to do. He'd heard both sides of the story. He talked to my daughter. My daughter corroborated mine, even though they were lying. He was like, I don't know what to do. Someone's got to go to jail. I'll go for my son. So anyway, the body cam footage could exonerate me. There's so many things that could happen, but it's been nearly a year. We haven't got one piece of evidence. My lawyer's worthless. She's not even a lawyer. She's someone they appointed me who does some paperwork, I guess some pencil pushing. But I have no lawyer. I was not assigned a public defender. I didn't think I would need to get a lawyer in order to get out of this case because it's an open and shut. It's real simple. I mean, like, didn't do it. Here's the proof. Let me go. You know what I mean? Dissolve this thing. Get rid of that woman. But anyway, so she was bribed, staged an incident with my son, talked him into it. I guess she paid him. I don't know why my son would do what he did. We were best friends, but they both betrayed me as deeply as a man can be betrayed. And I'm dealing with that right now. It's a very sad situation. The smear campaign, which of course happens, that's what narcissists do. You find out who they are, and you out them to them. They get rid. They discard you, and they do a smear campaign. They try to get you out of their life completely and just destroy you because that's how they feed. Their nature is evil, basically. It's vampiristic. So obviously, when I went to jail for this domestic violence, the plan was that Noah would go stay with his grandparents. Of course, me and my daughters, should be together. Me and my wife had no problems. I mean, you know what I mean, other than normal marriage stuff. But that's not what happened. See, when I showed up back at the house, and I wasn't supposed to be anywhere near them, and I thought my son was at my grandparents' house, or his grandparents' house, my parents' house, that was not the case. They had him stay there. The reason being is to keep me out of the house. Now, she had filed for what was called a child protective order, even though my son's 20, because he's still there and not, he's still a child of hers. I guess she was able to get one and also blocked the mail for me. So I didn't know that I could have gone to court to dispute that. I didn't know what was happening. So I am not able to go near my house. I'm 301 feet from it. I've been 301 feet from it since this started. I won't go any further because I'm here to protect my little girls, whether she thinks so or not. I don't give up. I'm the most resilient cockroach bastard any of these people have ever met, whether they choose to think so or not. True is true. Okay? I'm resilient. I don't go nowhere. I do what I'm going to do, and I do it to where I'm done with it. That's what I do. That's who I am. So anyway, I'm authentic all the time. So obviously, not doing the obvious best choice, that was odd to me. I didn't really know what was going on yet. I hadn't figured out what was going on yet. I hadn't put all the pieces together and heard everything from everybody. When I showed up, I had to walk literally. My parents wouldn't answer the phone for me for some reason. No matter what, I called them from different numbers, called them from jail. They wouldn't answer the phone for me. It was strange. It was very odd. And I showed up at their house. I had to walk literally for 2 days to Smith Lake from where I was in Parrish, Alabama. Trying to hitchhike the entire time, which nobody except at the very last 5 minutes, one person in 2 days was willing to give me a ride. Reason being is I probably looked like I just got out of jail or something. I was stinky and worn down, and you know what I mean, something like that. But it was odd too. I was thinking there's some weird holding back being done in not just the physical world. I'd be right to think so. Anyway, so there was a huge lack of hospitality from my parents. My dad, in fact, didn't want me there at all. He never once asked, even to this day, what my side of events was and why this happened, even though he knows me. He knows me. He knows I don't have a violent bone in my body. I would never hit my children. In fact, I lived with them for over 10 years in California. And it's a little bit harder to find housing. Anyway, me and my family were living with my parents in California for financial purposes. And my dad knows. He saw exactly how I raised my kids. He saw I'm a great dad. He saw that they sit on my lap and I read them Bible stories all the time. So I don't know why he would not want to even know, like, my side of the story or whatever. But apparently, he already was dedicated to a different side, taking someone else's side, and had already bribed them and set this whole thing up with them, and this was all planned. You know what I mean? In my head. I don't know if she did this for the moment without their knowledge, or they incentivized her and it culminated in this, which is the same thing to me. I don't care. Same thing. It's their fault. It's 100% my parents' fault, 100% her fault that we split up. And the kids and everybody are going to have to deal with that. Me too. It's a very sad situation where your family breaks up your marriage because they bribe your wife. Very, very sad. Very karmic, very evil, very Jezebel. Jeez. So anyway, my parents became her flying monkeys, the Jezebelian narcissistic wife that I have. And they've done everything they can to keep my kids from me. Like I said, I haven't seen my kids in a year, even though I'm 300 feet away from them. Let's move on. Okay, so the smear campaign, not doing the obviously best choices, and him going and staying with my parents. Me having access to my family. The lack of hospitality from my parents. Them not even wanting to know what the truth is. Them knowing that I'm an honest person, I would tell them exactly what the truth is. They didn't even ask me. In fact, when I tried to tell them, they stopped me verbally, violently, in fact, verbally. They were like, stop. They would not let me speak the truth in their house. The truth is not welcome in their house. I became very, very aware of this while I was there. There was 2 times when I tried to speak the truth, and each time I was abruptly stopped very loudly. And it appeared as though my dad was about to get violent with me if I continued. Yeah. So, anyway, yeah, before all of this happened, I was threatened by my wife. About a month before or so, she said she was going to take everything I have, leave me with nothing, leave me out in the cold, and she was going to stage a domestic violence event. She said she was going to tell the police that I hit her, and blah blah blah. And I was scared. I was like, "Holy crap! What does a guy do?" And so I called my mom, and I texted her, and I texted my dad, and I was like, "What does a guy do in this issue? There's something I can do." And my main focus was to just make sure and have some type of documentation, with my parents or something who could witness for me that, this might happen, just in case it did. And it did. And so the first thing I asked my parents was, would they be willing to, I want to call them as witnesses. I want to subpoena them and have them come in as witnesses. And my dad lied, said he didn't remember. I know he did. I'll leave it at that. It's very fraudulent. And my mother is so scared of the reaction of my ex that, at least I believe that she refused to come to court, bear witness of the truth, which is what we're called to do as Christians. She just refused outright. And calling my dad to court knowing that he's lying, I mean, that may be detrimental. He may just lie. He may just say that it never happened and I'm lying, and saying that's not going to help me. I was trying to call him as a witness for me. You know what I mean? Now, I can probably go back and subpoena the text messages and prove that he did, but I mean, then I don't know. I may do that. Is what I'm saying, I guess. So yeah, they denied the truth, refused the truth to let the truth be spoken. And when there was one time when my brother was actually visiting my parents' house, he was visiting from out of state. I was very, very happy to see him and his wife and his kids. It was one of the best times of my life, to be honest, to spend a week with them. Spent a lot of time with my niece. She's great, by the way. Her name's Ferris. I love the hell out of her. I think she loves me too. We're gonna get along a little later when she grows up. But so they denied the truth again. Yeah, refused to let the truth be spoken. They cast doubt on my integrity. So the one time that I told the story apart from my parents were not there, and my brother asked me what was going on, and I explained it was the first time I was able to tell the story. It was weeks after I had gotten let out of jail. And first of all, there was no hospitality in my parents' house. They didn't want me there at all. My dad, after begging him for a place to stay and sleeping on rocks for 2 days, literally outside in the woods, sleeping on rocks for 2 days. Okay. My parents did not want me in the house. They didn't want me there. Didn't want to hear my side of the story. There was no hospitality whatsoever. And then after begging my father, he allowed me one night to stay in there in Alabama now, in the summer, midsummer, okay, June or something, in the unair conditioned basement where it's 10 times hotter than any other place on a cot. That's where he let me stay for one night only, was what he said. Figure that. Anyway, I'm trying not to get angry. So, the culmination, what eventually happened was, I didn't have anywhere to go, kept begging. I stayed in their basement on a cot for months, maybe 2 months. Yeah, I'll move on. But they didn't want me there. That's the point. Okay, which is odd to me. And considering they live in a 9-bedroom mansion on a lake, more than 6,500 square feet, I'm not in any mind frame, never have been, to understand why that would be the case. While my brother was visiting, they got an entire floor. We're very hospitable to my brother, and not hospitable to me the whole time. In fact, they would be opposite to us, right? And they would be hospitable to him and then not hospitable to me. Be hospitable and then not hospitable to me, like one after another the entire time. I mean, I saw my brother's wife be like, "Wow, this is weird." And I even pointed it out to her. Anyway, I think we bonded over that. But yeah. So they cast doubt on my integrity the one time I did tell the story. They were like, "That's not the story I heard," and a couple other things, even not. And I was like, "What story did you hear? What other than that?" And I still don't know the story that they've told to anybody, the police, the lawyers, the court. I don't know anything. It's been many months, almost a year, and I've been to court, I think, 7 times. I've gotten nothing done. It's all been continuances every single time. And I've gotten nothing as far as evidence. Okay, every time I talk to my attorney, which is not an attorney, and it's a public defender provided for me by the court. She's not a public defender, like in an attorney sense. She's someone who took a couple of weeks of a class to become it. Is what she eventually told me after talking to her long enough. Said she didn't have the skills to do my case, and I needed a lawyer. And I'm like, I could win my case. Where's the body cam footage? It's the simplest thing in the world. Like, let's just show what really happened, right? So anyway, things just weren't going my way and aren't going my way. Well, I mean, they are now. I mean, the truth will out. But basically, so they cast doubt on my integrity. They, while I was at my parents' house, and I knew it was time to go, the thing that made me to the point where I'm staying where I am right now, which I'll let you know, I'm in the chess cave where we play chess, not checkers. I'm in a trailer that I've had to build for myself that didn't even have walls when I came in, and I've spent the last several months fixing it up for myself so that I had a place to stay that was safe and sane, and was away from toxicity. And I've been growing, maturing, ascending during that time, studying, successing, even. So I've even found some investors for some business opportunities that I put out there. Anyway, I got 2 businesses started since I left. Things are going great as far as financially, and or will be going great financially. I'm abundant. I manifest abundance, and I stay in a grateful mind frame. But they were trying to blackmail me. My own parents. I caught them. They're trying to record conversations. Probably had hidden video cameras. I mean, who knows? I'm just guessing in that sense. But if they were recording conversations privately and trying to debate me while they were talking, chances are they were doing other things as well. But just just recording conversations and me catching them doing that and them denying it, saying it didn't happen, blah, 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 after it did, it was a shock to me. I wasn't used to my parents being dishonest or fraudulent with me. But they, I saw the masks come off, and I saw some true colors. I'm seeing a lot of that lately. And so anyway, I decided I needed to get out. I did. My mom and dad both had really bad advice for me the entire time. First time I asked them about the divorce, my mom encouraged me to get divorced. She said I'd probably have to take a hit, but I should just get divorced. People don't need to be together who aren't getting along. I said, it was like, what on earth type of church did she grow up in? Because marriage is a religious thing, not a legal thing, and it has nothing to do with people getting along. It had to do with them being put together by God, and what God puts together, let no man tear apart. So anyway, I started getting some really bad, unbiblical advice from my parents constantly about everything. They said, don't ever remarry, don't ever have another kid, they like everything that you would never get involved in, or like someone else's marriage. Like, you wouldn't get involved in that. Someone else's divorce, you wouldn't get involved in that. Like, you know what I mean? It's not something people do. Well, my parents have done this more than once. My parents have been involved in a couple people's divorces and stuff. So this is a pattern I noticed. Wow, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with these people. And it's something I'm having to face and deal with, the truth, though. But, so, bad advice. Now, the danger. Well, there was 3 separate incidents when I was shot at. There's reasons why. Evidently, I absolutely believe these to be the parties involved who are against me. And I even came up with, I found evidence that leaning very much towards the fact that this was true. I found that I know my guns. They were my gun. They don't have guns. My guns are at the house where I'm not allowed. And it was my gun that was used. It was a Marlin 772, I believe it's called. I was shot at twice, 7 rounds each. The Marlin has 7-round magazines, which I had loaded. I keep loaded. I keep my gun clean every time I use it and so forth. My windshield had 14 marks on it after the second time I was shot. 14 shots, 2 magazines full. Anyway, when I went back and I finally, this case was moving forward in my direction, I got custody of my kids back, and I got the house back and everything, and she wasn't allowed to stay there. And things were going right. My father showed up. My son refused to leave the house. My father showed up, and he took my daughters, and the cop that was there serving the papers, he didn't know what to do. And so he just said, I'm going to call CPS. And I said, no, just give them to my dad. So even though I had custody of my daughters, and it was supposed to be working out in my favor, and I had access to the house and everything finally again, I wasn't homeless to my house. Nothing went right. And let me tell you why I didn't have access to the house and why I didn't have access to my daughters. Well, first of all, my dad took the daughters. I said, hey, when can I get them? When can I see them? Can we just meet at McDonald's and I can hang out with them? Nothing. He wouldn't even respond to me. Wouldn't even humor my questions to see my daughter. Kept me away from them the entire time I had custody of them. So I didn't fight for having the custody again because I couldn't get my dad to give me my little girls anyway. Couldn't even get him to let me see them. He was too scared of what my ex was going to do if he did that. And they make decisions out of fear being a flying monkey. That's what they do. And you learn about narcissism. Basically, you learn that. These people are under her whim. They will do anything she asks, whether they look at it that way or not. They're her slaves. And they've been working against me the entire time on her side, saying that they're not going to pick a side, which means they've picked hers because you're against me or for me. Just like Jesus. I mean, there's only 2 sides. You have to pick one. When there's a war, you can't stay in the middle and say, I'm not picking a side when they are fighting and coming towards your house in the middle. No, you have to pick a side, and you have to fight on that war. And they did. They picked a side. And the whole time, they said, oh, no, we're not picking sides. We're not picking sides. And they fooled me for a little bit. Even got me to stay in their house, presented it as a place of security and a place where I could heal, and then tried to use that against me. Tried to make it so I, tried to use it against me. Take my freedom, my rights, my children, take all the, everything that's mine, take it away from me. So that was my mystery union. It was taken away from me, and the danger was, being shot at. Now these, so after learning, I told my dad I was dumb, and I had sent a text to my father after he had taken the kids and stuff. And I was back in the house, finally taking a shower and stuff like that, getting some of my old stuff out, getting my TV out and stuff. I was actually going to let my wife come back in with my daughters and stay there. I wasn't opposed to that. She's a good mom as far as taking care of the kids. I don't know what she's, I'm a victim of parental alienation now and slandering and stuff and the smear campaign towards my daughters now who are scared of me for no reason. But at that point, I was willing to let her have the house back and stuff. I just wanted to get my stuff out of it, things that I needed to survive. I already had the trailer. I was fixing it up. It was livable, and I needed to get some stuff in it, like the fridge and stuff like that, hot water heater, stuff like that. So I'd gotten it out there, moved it out there, and during this process, I'd found the gun. I found the evidence I needed. The magazines that were empty, the gun smelled, it was not clean, it had been used. I knew it. The magazine, the 2 7-round magazines were empty. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is, and there was mud on the gun, which they had to come through the muddy woods on a dark night when it was raining in order to do what they did. And so there would be evidence that there would be mud on the gun, if they didn't clean it, which they didn't. So knowing that, I grabbed it, I hit it, but I said, hey Dad, I got, I was excited, that I was finally free of all this, and that they were probably just going to drop the case, or Christy was going to let it, my ex was going to let it go, just dismiss it or something. And my dad, I said, hey, I got this evidence, I found some stuff, it's going to be great, I'm going to get off. Instead of him saying congratulations, or what someone in that situation would be if they were happy free, my father said, what evidence? And I'm like, okay, well, it's not too far off base. And I said, well, we can talk about that later. I wasn't about to say everything that it was over the, text or anything. And I'm glad I didn't. A few hours later, I was called by somebody. He was somebody who my father had called, who said that people were concerned about me. Now, at this point, I hadn't talked to my father in about 2 weeks. He's toxic. He's abusive, and I felt it was better to stay away from him during this time. I didn't feel safe, and I was right to. So he committed fraud and perjury, and he said that I was suicidal. In the past 2 weeks, he had heard me say I was going to kill myself. He said I was hallucinating, seeing angels and demons, and that there was just a whole bunch of bullshit that he was bearing false witness to. That he got a judge to sign a paper doing the absolute worst thing that they could do to someone in that position. Now, they could have done a welfare check to see if he was telling the truth. They could have just asked me to come in somewhere and gave me a phone call, maybe just called and talked to me and see. The first guy I talked to, who said people are concerned about you, I talked to him for about an hour, and I was totally willing to talk to him on the phone. But now when he called my dad back, he didn't get what he wanted. So my dad started doctor shopping, trying to get someone to say I was nuts or to believe him, So he found someone. He found an asshole, a fraud, a horrible doctor who's tortured many, many people, in my opinion. I mean, from what I can tell, and he doesn't feel any remorse about it. His name is Dr. Aftab, and he needs to lose his license. He's a really, really bad man. I explained to him what was going on. I displayed no signs of any type of illness. He immediately said I had, and diagnosed me with 2 or 3 conditions which are absolutely nuts that I have. And he says, and also he I guess took my dad's word for it on these, because my dad is the one that said I had these conditions. I didn't know what he was talking about. I don't even think my dad knows what these conditions are. And I know for a fact he doesn't know what they are. He doesn't study, he never learns anything. Okay, he doesn't know anything. So anyway, but I think I'm not going to say what I think. It doesn't matter. So yeah, bad advice, the shots, the misreunion with my kids, the fraud, the perjury, the theft. Oh yeah, and so after spending 6 days in the hospital, 4 of these in a dark, locked room, chained to a bed, being shot up with heavy narcotics the entire time. After telling them I do not need them, I'm fine, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm not suicidal. They could have just watched me in a room, but no, they shot me up with heavy narcotics the entire time. In fact, by those 4 days were over, I was addicted heavily. to these narcotics. It took me fucking everything to get off of these. Okay. But the bottom line is that they continued to give me narcotics for the 6 days. I kept telling them not to, please. I showed no signs the entire time I was in there of anything that they were saying I was diagnosed with happening. A couple of the nurses caught on that I was telling the truth, that I shouldn't be in there. One male nurse especially, he was very, very nice to me. I don't remember his name. Thank you if you ever see this video. I remember you. And I remember you coming to my bedside at night, and I remember you saying, hey, do you want to talk to somebody? Because if I was in your position, I'd probably want to talk to somebody. And I was a little out of pocket maybe at a certain point, but I was on heavy drugs, and I could barely function. But I do remember you being very comforting to me, and that even those few seconds that you came to me and just displayed that warmth, you know, and you were intuitive enough to understand that this guy's not what they're saying. He needs someone to be compassionate. You were compassionate. Thank the Lord for you. Praise God for you, sir. Thank you. You're the one who needs to be Dr. After and take over that whole place, in my opinion. You're the only one who deserved to be there, in my opinion. Everybody else just believed the narrative instead of looking with their own eyes, having eyes to see, having ears to hear, which is what I saw you display. So praise God for you, sir. But see, so Mr. Union, the fraud, the perjury. Oh yeah, so I spent 6 days there. When I left, my father showed up with a lawyer, tried to keep me in there for longer. This is when I started to realize that he did not have my best. He didn't have love for me. Now love, people don't even understand that. Let me explain that real quick. Love's a scale. Okay, like anything else. Okay, it's a thing, and it has a scale of what it is, right? On this end, the low end, you're going to have, they want what's best for you, truly. They truly do want what's best for you, and they'll work towards that. Okay, even if it means a little sacrifice, they want what's best for you, right? On this end, it means they would sacrifice for you, and they would die for you. Okay, that's Jesus' love. That's the epitome of love. That's real, true, authentic love. Okay, but I'm willing to accept it over here. Someone who wants what's best for you, they think they love you, and that's okay. That's human love. I want what's best for you. I'll sacrifice for that. He didn't want what's best for me. He was not on the scale of love at all. He did not love me. He's never loved me. It took me a little bit to realize that. But he's always had his own self-interest above mine in every situation, even though I put him ahead of me in every situation ever, just like a child does, trying to earn the approval of the father. It took me a while to realize I do not need his validation, his okay, his permission for anything. I always considered him a wise man, and I would seek his opinion, but I had come to the conclusion, and after a little bit of hindsight, that the times that I've taken his advice were horrible. They turned out horribly, and I just blamed it on myself. But no, it was the advice for sure, and me choosing to follow the karmic, displays that he was giving. Anyway, so he committed fraud, perjury, right there in the courtroom, trying to keep me there. Now, him saying that I had in the past 2 weeks, again, he said right in front of me, in the past 2 weeks, that I had told him that I was going to commit suicide. This was an outright, blatant lie. No one else can corroborate that. No one else was in the room when it happened. Me and Dad aren't in the room together ever. Okay, yeah, I'm not stupid. Okay. Anyway, now, what happened when I was this was the nail in the coffin, like for my parents, really, and me, is that when I was hospitalized on the 6th of December 2024 for my dad committing fraud and perjury, saying that I said something I didn't, was something I wasn't, and getting them to do the absolute worst to me, keep me away. He thought he had me. He thought I was gone forever. He thought they were going to keep me in there. He was going to keep me in there just like they tried to put me in jail and keep me in there. They were thinking I was going to be in jail for a year. But I got out 5 days later. So I'm thinking they had something to do with that. It was all planned, right? Well, who wouldn't think that at this point? But so they tried to keep me in jail too. I mean, they tried to keep me in the hospital too. And the hospital, He showed up with the lawyer and committed perjury and said all this stuff, and I just sat there, jaw dropped, like, who the fuck is this idiot? Why is he lying on me? And what demonic force is taking over my father? And I'm still there. I still don't know what the name is, but I'm sure that's what it is. So anyway, he convinced my son and the person, the young 19-year-old kid who my wife was sleeping with at the time, to posing as my son's friend. By the way, he's younger than my son. It's pedophilia, to say the least. But he started living there for a second. It was anyway. I got to get off of that. So yeah, I had to go through that. But he convinced my son and my son's friend Hunter, my wife's bed buddy, to rob, break in, thief, steal everything out of my camper. He was looking for the evidence that I had mentioned the day prior, the evidence that would definitely convict them for having shot at me. They didn't find, well, they found everything. When I got back, there was no hot water heater. There was no television. There was no safe. There was no refrigerator. There was my entire house. Okay, was robbed completely. Okay, they had broken in the window. They didn't deny it at all. In fact, my father himself gave me paperwork and so forth, stuff from a plastic bin that they'd gotten out of my house when they robbed it. I caught my dad telling a few lies about. I said, "When did this happen? How did you guys get the door open and stuff like that?" Well, the door never opened. The door was bolted shut with the bolt. It can't be opened except with the key. And so they had to literally kick the entire wall of the camper out in order to get some of the things out they wanted to get out, say the safe and so forth. It was witnessed by many people that my son and Hunter were the people who kicked these walls out. My dad was there. I saw a video of my dad standing there and talking crap about me while this was happening. It's incredible, unbelievable, and to believe it because it happened. So this is something I've had to deal with. Then, after allowing my wife or my ex to go back in the house, I said she could just go back in the house. I'm like, I'm done with this. I need my kids taken care of. I don't have them. I don't want them with my father. And so I allowed her to go back in the house. As soon as she was back in the house, I was served with like no, that happened in a while. I skipped something I have to go back to, but so as soon as they were back in the house, my dad said, "Now she has a lease on that house. Now I filled it out, and she's had it for a while, and blah blah blah. And you're not on it. You can't go over there. First of all, you can't evict somebody from their own property, even if it wasn't my property. You can't evict somebody like that. You can't. That's that's an illegal eviction. You can't just kick somebody out. Anyway." And you can't backdate a lease and do all that and try to give it to somebody, even if you do own the property. Bottom line, my dad doesn't own the property. I do. Why would he lease my property or my house? Well, that's because he's trying to steal my land, my property. Why wouldn't he? He's done everything else, right? So I don't put that past him. So he's currently trying to steal my land, property, give it to her. He's not going to get away with it, of course. He'd be stupid to think so, but he's stupid. He's a fucking ridiculous, stupid idiot. If you can't tell already. Karmic, ridiculously stupid idiot. But let's roll forward. Okay. So, yeah, he committed fraud, perjury, theft, robbery. There were other thefts as well committed by my ex and my son. Just destroying, fences that I put up and stuff like that on the sides of the property that, I procured after we split. and they amounted to thousands of dollars at the end. Just thousands of dollars, and lots of effort. Putting in fences is not easy work. So anyway, um, so yeah. So anyway, after this, and after hearing that my dad was just trying to steal my land and everything, I was just like, you know what? Maybe I can find an exit. Maybe I can get out of this entire situation. But I'm gonna have to have a little finances to do it. And so I was willing to cut a deal with my dad. I was willing to cut a deal with just a small portion of what the land was worth, and just ask him for some original, buy-in that I did on it, and just cash so that I could get my life started and I could move on. He threatened me. He wanted me to leave the family. He wanted me to never return for a tiny portion of cash, which of course I denied. I said, "There's no way I'm going to leave my family and never return." Well, who would ask someone that? It's a ridiculous thing to ask somebody. And when he did it, he manifested demonically. He said, "I'm going to ask you to get out." And it was very scary. It was very scary to see someone manifest, especially when we were alone in a basement when it happened. So rather than rebuke him and try to get this demon out of him, I decided to just back off and go away, and I did. I've let that hang, just how it is. If you got some demon slayers out there, other than me, this is a tough one. Y'all can join me. Anyway, so yeah, the bribe, the staged domestic violence, the smear campaign, the not doing obviously best choice by having my son stay with the grandparents and I could go back to the house was strange. The lack of hospitality from my parents, the refusal to bear witness to the truth, the denial of the truth, the refusal to let the truth be spoken in their house, the casting doubt on my integrity with others, the blackmail conspiracy, the bad advice, the biblical advice, the danger that they put, the gunshots and stuff, the missed reunion, my kids taken from me and not returned, the fraud, perjury, theft, robbery, having me, falsely imprisoned in that hospital, taking away my freedom, my rights, trying to take my what's it called, my right of attorney, and I'm gonna. This is getting to something. Hang on, and trying to take my right of attorney and the money theft, But so basically, that's just stealing money from me. If he's stealing, my land from me and stuff, and he's not willing to give me back the money that I get, that's just him stealing money or land, however you want to put it. He's either stole the money or stole the land, Um, and so basically, it's both to me. The thief's a thief, money, land. He stole them both. He ain't making any. I've talked with him a million times about it. I've tried to go to his church and just talk with him, because it says if you can't resolve it between. It says in the Bible, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it says how to handle these situations, and if you have a problem with your brother before church, handle it outside of church before you go in, and just get it done and settled and go back in, no big deal. Christians should be able to do that, especially in a family. He refused. I showed up at his church 4 times over a 2-week period. He wanted the pastor there. I didn't think the pastor needed to be there. Nowhere in the Bible does it say the pastor needs to be there. Anyway, I realized he was not going to meet with me. He was not going to meet with me on a religious level. He was not going to meet with me on an intellectual level. He was not going to meet with me and give me any type of truth whatsoever at any time about this, or resolution, which is what I just wanted respect and resolution. That's really all I wanted. And he just pretended like he didn't have any idea what I was talking about. Wouldn't answer my phone call. Played dumb to my text. Didn't answer my text at all, and would text me with other things afterwards after I texted him. With things like, "Man, what about dinner tonight?" It's like, what does dinner have to do? I just asked you to give me resolution on something that I really need resolution for. I'm destitute and impoverished right now. So anyway, the bribe, the staged incident, smear campaign, not doing the obviously best choice, having my son stay with the grandparents, the lack of hospitality there, the refusal to bear witness to the truth of what they'd known, the denial of the truth, and refusal to let the truth be spoken, casting doubt on my integrity, the blackmail conspiracy, the bad advice, unbiblical advice they were giving me, the danger that they put me in, the missed reunion with my kids, the fraud, the perjury, the theft, the robbery, the home theft, the other thefts, the money theft, and now the parental alienation. It's been about a year. I've been alienated from my kids, my 2 daughters. I haven't seen them. My two daughters I haven't seen in about a year. And this weighs very heavily. It's enough to drive anyone nuts. I refuse to abandon them, though. They're in danger 301 feet away from me, and I will not leave their side. I will be here. If they choose to run away from that house and come here, my arms are open. I just want them to know that by seeing me here, knowing, and maybe not seeing me, but knowing that I'm here. It's tough to stay here. It's not pretty sometimes. But I feel like I'm doing God's work and I'm where I'm supposed to be. The Spirit led me here. I'm staying here. I'm not going anywhere. There's something I would like to point out. When another man tries to take another man's land, historically, that's called war. There's death, casualties when that happens. It's a very sad thing to declare war. And my father has declared war on me. And there will be casualties. I will die and I will kill for my land. Make no mistake about it. So, I think any man would. Stand your ground, stay. And I'm going to stand my ground. Don't come here, Dad. Don't do it. Now, all these things that I've been going through the past year, they're very hard to forgive. They're very hard to understand. And I don't have to understand to forgive, which is what most people have to do. So I've forgiven them. They have not asked me for forgiveness, which is basically a biblical requirement, but I'm going to go ahead and forgive them anyway for my own benefit. I'm going to walk forward in just clarity and abundance, and I'm just going to, continue to just be grateful, manifest abundance for myself, just climb the ladder while they fall, basically. Thanks for listening. I'm going to have a lot more to say about this. Oh, I did forget one part I got to add in, apparently. I forgot which part that is. There's so many pieces to this story. Well, I'll leave it at that. I probably forgot a few things. But the bottom line, the point I was trying to get across, I think that the Spirit wanted, was telling me to come do this for. Hopefully it got, I know it did. I know it got across. The people that this is supposed to reach, that are like, I wonder what those readings have been about. They gonna know now. It's me. I'm the epitome. I'm the epitome. So, anyway, homie says roll up, I roll up. Easy. That's why I did this. I didn't do it for any other reason that, I felt like the Lord is in his divine timing that he wanted me to do this. I could have done it at any time during this past year, but I didn't. Let her have the church. I let her have everything. It's not like any of them came to my defense. Not like any of them called me. Anything like that, anyway. God bless you guys. I love y'all. I know all of us are going through some stuff. We're being prepared for something we're supposed to do for God, being isolated, being trained. And a lot of light workers in my position right now. I love y'all. Y'all ain't really alone. Not in here. You feel me? And not up here. Remember that. Remember, you ain't alone. Remember that up here. Okay? It's in here and it's up here, bro. And sis. You feel me? If you have any insight on this, if you want to work with me, if you know any resources that I don't that could help me get the truth exposed and get it out there, even just a like or a subscribe or something, whatever is going to help me. I mean, it doesn't, I'm not here to say, hey, subscribe to my channel, all that. That's not my point. My point is to just have the Holy Spirit work through this to do what it wants to do, and whatever God's plan is for this, to help God's plan, and just be grateful that I was allowed to be a piece of that plan. That's where I'm coming from. Again, I love y'all. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe if you want to. If not, don't. It's cool. It's cool. I love y'all anyway. Y'all in my heart. All right. I unapologetically say everything I said today. I hold it to heart. I think it's true. I believe it. And I came at you 100% authentic. I don't give a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a motherfuck what y'all think. Okay? I came 100% authentic, and this is what it is. You feel me? So, boom.